Okay, guys, we are going to start our very final chapter of Henry Huggins. I'm so sad that this book is over. We're on chapter 6, and this is the final chapter in the book, and we're going to finish it this week. And unfortunately, because there's not much left after this week, about a week and a half of school, we won't have time to start another chapter book like this. So I'm really glad that even though we weren't together, we still had the chance to share this book with each other. And hopefully, if the library is open back up this summer, you might be able to pick out some more of these Beverly Cleary books and some more Henry Huggins books from the library and read them and find out what else happens to Henry and Ribsy. So chapter 6 is called Finders Keepers. After lunch on the Saturday after the dog show, Henry was in his room feeding his catfish. He dropped a tiny pinch of food into the water and watched it drift down to the bottom of the aquarium, where the catfish busily dug through the sand to find it. "Henry!" Robert was calling from the front yard. Henry put the lid back on his aquarium and went out to the front porch. "Hi, what do you want?" "Come on out and let's practice tumbling like the fellas in the gym at the Y." "Okay." Henry ran down the front steps. Ribsy looked up from the bone he was gnawing and growled. It was not a cross growl. It was a growl that meant, "Don't bother me. Can't you see I'm busy?" The boys practiced standing on their hands and turning somersaults on the lawn until Robert said, "Come on, let's try that trick where one fellow gets on his back with his feet in the air and the other fellow gets on top of his feet and the first fellow turns him around and around." He flopped on the grass with his feet in the air. "Come on, try it," he said. Henry sat on Robert's feet and lay back with his arms and legs outstretched. Robert tried to twirl him around. Henry teetered. "Hey, you're kicking me." Henry toppled over upon Robert. "Ugh!" Robert sat up. "You're too heavy. Let's try something else." "I know what. Let's go over to Beezus' house and practice chinning ourselves on the chestnut tree." They found the girls in front of Beezus' house. They were busy tying a long jump rope from the horse chestnut tree across the sidewalk to the lilac bush. Ramona, who was wearing pink coveralls and curlers in her hair, was scratching on the bark of the chestnut tree with her fingernails. "Hi," said Henry. "Hello," answered Beezus, stopping work on the rope. "Meow, meow," said Ramona. "What does she mean, meow?" asked Henry. "Oh, don't pay attention to her," answered Beezus. "That's the way she says meow. She's pretending she's a cat." "Meow," said Ramona, and patted the curlers in her hair. "I'm a cat with curly hair." Henry and Robert exchanged disgusted looks. Girls certainly started to be silly when they were awfully young. They watched the girls in silence. Then they all sat down on the grass and waited. "I wish you would go away," said Mary Jane at last. "We're busy." "Don't mind us," said Henry. "We have all day." Beezus tightened the knot on the jumping rope. "Henry Huggins, I think you're mean. Why don't you play in your own yard?" "We want to watch what you're doing," answered Henry, chewing on a blade of grass. "Oh, I know. I'll bet you think you're going to be tightrope walkers," scoffed Robert. "Why don't you tie the rope up high? It's only about 2 feet off the ground." "Dumbbell," said Beezus. "Every time we walk across it without falling off, we'll move it up a foot. I'll bet even people in circuses don't start practicing at the top of the circus tent. And they have nets under them, too." "You can't even walk when it's 2 feet off the ground," scoffed Henry. "I'll bet you couldn't walk it if it were 1 inch off the ground." "You be quiet, Henry Huggins," ordered Mary Jane. "Why don't you and Robert mind your own business? Go on, Beezus. Let's not pay attention to them. They just think they're smart." Beezus opened her mother's umbrella and held it in her right hand. As she stepped up on the rope, Mary Jane took hold of her left hand to steady her. The lilac bush bent under her weight, the rope sagged, and Beezus was standing on the sidewalk with the rope under her feet. So we'll have to find out tomorrow if Beezus really turned into a tightrope rocker.